everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Citizens of the Spork from Philip Dubarry and Thunderworks game. In this game, you have a bunch of citizens in your city who are all anthropomorphic animals because why not? But it is some really nice illustration here, and you have a whole pile of these that you can use in the game, but you're only going to use a certain amount each game, sort of like Dominion and deck building games, but this is not a deck building game. In this game, you are trying to collect Spork, the spark of intelligence. Here's how it plays. Citizens of the Spork comes with 30 sets of cards, 10 copies of each. And then there's some randomizer cards here where you can randomly choose, or you can pick which ones you're going to use. And you're going to pick a certain number of sets based on the number of players. So if you're playing with 2 players, you'll have 7 sets. If you're playing with 5 players, you'll have 10 sets. Some of them are underlined here, and that's just to warn you that you shouldn't use more than 4 of them, because it'll make the game a little bit more wonky. Each of these different cards has various symbols at the top, and then they have symbols at the bottom with a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3, and then special abilities on them. So you're going to make a deck with the different groups that you've made, and you're going to place out groups, 3 groups in a city. The number of different characters per group will depend on the number of players. So this is for a 4-player game here. Each player is going to draw 4 cards from the deck, discard 2, and put 2 out in front of them to start their city. Now, on a player's turn, what they're going to do is they're going to pick one of these 3 groups. So let's say I pick this group here. And I'm going to add these people to my city. So I have another scholar, another scout, and now a tyrant. Then I can pick one of these if I want to. You don't have to. Optionally do an action with that. So for example here, I might pick the scout. The scout says, when I play this, I'm going to gain 3 sparks. So this is sparks here. We have different denominations, 1s, 5s, 10s, and 25. If I have 1 scout, I would get 3 sparks, and then I'm going to place a card from the deck. I get to put 1 card from the deck in my group. Or if I have 2 characters, I'm going to get to place 2. If I have 3 scouts, I get to place 3 characters. So I put this above me to show me. I have 2 scouts, so I would do the second one. I get my 3 sparks, and then I add 2 more people. Ooh, I got another scholar. And I got a trader added to my thing. Each other person who's a scout may also spend a scout to do the same action equal to the level that they have for scouts. Even if you have 1, you can still do a level 1. All these cards are discarded. We then put a spark next to the groups that were not picked, and then we add 3 more cards. Oh, it's an all-scientist group here to this one. And then if someone else took that group, you just keep adding sparks. If someone ever takes a group, they get all the sparks with that group. Now, there are lots of different things that these characters will do. I'm not going to go over all 30 of them, but I want to show there's a lot of symbols at the top. Sometimes that matters. Here you get sparks equal to the number of these symbols you have. So this gives you 3 for every one of those symbols that you have. Same with this tyrant. He gives you 1 of these, but some of them also have attacks that they can do. Here I get money if I have more of these symbols than a neighbor city. I can get 14 if I have 3 warriors. And sometimes this flame here means you're going to go after someone else. You're going to take sparks from one city with fewer things than your city, discard all your soldiers during cleanup. So there's all sorts of things. Getting them for the different actions. Sometimes you can block an action when someone else does it. A poet. There's even one that lets you copy another action. And this performer, he can copy any card, not just whatever card that you happen to have. So you're going to keep playing. So you'll take a group, possibly play 1 card. You then keep going. When the deck runs out of cards, that's going to trigger the end of the game. Everyone gets equal number of turns, and then you'll get 1 point for every citizen that's in your kingdom. Plus, there are end game scorings that will happen at the end of the game, and you'll add up all the sparks that you've gotten, adding them to the ones you got throughout the game, and whoever has the most is the winner. Great card quality, good symbology, for the most part. Sometimes, but you can just remember how once you explain how they work, it's usually pretty good. The rule book also tells you they have more explanations for some of the different citizens and how they work. Minor complaint, I don't like using cubes for 1s and 5s and then tokens for 10s and 20s. That's kind of a weird oddity to me. But I will say that's very minor. What isn't minor, though, is that is a good chunk of your game. You'll be like, I'm taking 7. I'm taking 5. I'm taking 9. I quickly make some change. You're constantly getting spark coming in, especially some sets are going to give you lots of spark. And so as that spark comes in and you're making change and doing this, there's a lot of fiddliness to moving all that around. Not a huge deal, but it is something to be said. This game has some interesting ideas to it. I love the concept of 30 different cards, and I love the concept of some characters are going to work with other characters in a very interesting way. Just like deck building games like Dominion, you can have a set of cards that is kind of a dud. And they have ways that say these are, maybe sets that might work together. And I'm glad they put in that don't have more than 4 underlined, because then you can have really off-the-wall combinations. But that's kind of the selling point. Like, ooh, we have a new combination. How's it going to work? What makes that less interesting to me is the randomness of how they come out. And there's 3 groups of 2 or 3 cards out there, and some have extra tokens on them, and that usually doesn't matter unless there's a big pile, or if 2 are almost the same thing, you're just trying to decide between them. But I know why they have it in the game, because there might be a group out there nobody wants, and so eventually there's a pile of spark for you to take when you get those. When you lead a citizen and everyone follows and it works off whether you have 1, 2, or 3 or more, that's really solid. But then why when I'm done with the game, it leaves me slightly cold? This is a 6 out of 10 for me. I think the game is fine. But I found that each successive game of this that I played, my first game was like, this is pretty interesting. The second game of this, I said, oh. And then the third game, I said, well, this game kind of ended before I really got to do much of anything. And all these powers there's a couple powers I think are more interesting than others. Like there's one that's a good power, but it kills another person. Another one, the one I showed you where you draw people and add them to your thing. Some of them are more interesting, but a lot of them are like, get 3 for every red symbol. You're like, okay, build up some red symbols, get 3. And it feels like a very, very base game that doesn't ever really deviate off these paths. And the following everyone, it just feels like we're going through a bunch of mechanisms. So I'm like, I'm going to lead this one. I will get 6. I will follow. I will take 3. Next person. I will follow. I will take 4. Next person. I choose not to follow. Okay, your turn. I'll take these. I get that. We add 1 to each of the other ones. I will play this. And we all follow. And it just feels really mechanical. Now, don't get me wrong. There's lots of games that are very mechanical based. And in fact, one that I pointed to earlier is Dominion, a deck building game, and people could levy the same charge against that. But that's a game I give a 10 to, and I think it's amazing because that one I feel like there's so many different cool paths. This one, at the end of the day, the vast majority of these citizens feel the same. This one gives stuff for every red symbol. This gives stuff for every blue symbol. This one copies another one. Okay. This one, there's a few that are different, but those mixed in, I'm not also getting to choose. I'm choosing from the groups that are out there. So I'm kind of stuck with whatever groups these are. Like, I really want that card. I don't care about the other 2. And following other people lets you do more actions, but also depletes your cards. And when you play this game, you often find the scores can be very close, although I've seen games where they're very wide apart too. But it never feels like I go, you outplayed me. No, it just felt like we went through the motions of an interesting game. But at the end, I don't remember any cool plays. I don't remember anything that I thought was really neat. It just was kind of a very solid, straightforward game. But I don't hate it either. I think there's a lot of interesting concepts here. But it's, what does the box, the time limit here say on this box? It doesn't, there it is. 45 to 60 minutes. A lot of games I played have been faster than that, with the biggest downtime to them being, what does that card do again? Now, that's also not a negative thing to have games go very quickly. It's just that I remember the specific games of this I played because I was doing it for a review and keeping track of how it went. But I don't think I would remember other than that. Like, that was just another game. People are probably going to love this. I have definitely seen a lot of differing opinions. I'm sure I'll see some in the comments below that say, I don't know anything about good games and you should try this out. Well, good. If this does sound like a game that's interesting, you definitely check it out. Citizens of Spark, maybe they'll make expansions for it and they'll add more cards. And maybe those expansions will deviate off the paths of this one and try other things. It's just that the lead and follow mechanism, I didn't find to be particularly engaging, and I also felt like the choices that you have weren't particularly big. There's somewhere between, 6 to 10 different sets in the game. I'm going to take these 3, and I have 3 sets in front of me. I will pick the one I think does best at this point in time, and then follows, comes around to me, and I go, I could follow, or I could wait and get a few more next time. I guess I'll wait. Those felt like to be the main decisions over the course of the game. But a good product. I'm adding it to the Dice Tower library because I think people will enjoy it. I just think for me, it was just a game where I was like, that's interesting, but I'm not going to be the one to choose it. So that's Citizens of the Spork. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.